চলে যায় তাহলে আমার।
Hello, everybody. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Okay. I welcome back all of you. Now we are about to start the second technical session of day 2. The topic of this session is multi-criteria decision analysis in financial decision making and introduction. I take this opportunity to introduce the resource person of this session, Dr. Susmita Bandyopadhyay, who happens to be our colleague. She is an assistant professor in the Department of Business Administration, the University of Burdwan. Dr. Bandyopadhyay has overall 20 years experience in industry research and teaching. She is a PhD, MTech, MCA, and a MBA in systems and operations. She has authored 3 books which have been published by reputed publishers like IGI Global and CRC Press, Florida. She is actively engaged in research work, and her papers have been published in various reputed international journals listed in renowned databases like Elsevier, Springer, and Taylor and Francis. Presently, she is associated as a reviewer with 26 reputed international journals, which are listed in reputed databases like Elsevier, Springer, IEEE, Taylor and Francis. She has also acted as session chair in a couple of international conferences, and she regularly participates in conferences and symposiums across the country. Now, with these few words, I welcome Dr. Susmita Bandyopadhyay to take charge of this session. Dr. Bandyopadhyay, over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Mukherjee. Thank you so much for introducing me, and good morning, everybody. As I said, it's still not 12 noon, so we can say good morning to each other. I'm a systems and operations guy. Naturally, this multi-criteria decision analysis techniques is my area, and I regularly work on this area. I have papers published in this area. You can search by my name in Google Scholar, and you can see my some publications published in various international reputed journals with Thomson Reuters Impact Factor, which is recognized worldwide. And so I have decided to depict this topic because, you know, it's very much relevant in all areas of study, not only in operations, but the application, as I will show you sometime later when I will share the slides. This multi-criteria decision analysis techniques has its application in all fields of study, in science and technology, even some parts of some areas of arts faculty as well. So it has wide application in finance as well. I will show you the Google Scholars slide where I have shown a glimpse of Google Scholar, where you will see some papers. Now, what is multi-criteria? Before I just share the slide, I think I will share the screen, and that would be all right, because I may have to share some. Can you? First of all, I should share my screen.
Yeah, it is getting shared.
Okay, thank you. So I will open this PPT first. So what is multi-criteria?
Yeah, it is in full screen now. Thank you, ma'am.
Multi-criteria means multiple criteria. Criteria means short of conditions, you know. Say, for example, I'm traveling from one place to another, place A to place B. So I belong to Calcutta, so naturally from Calcutta, in terms of Calcutta, I can depict. Say, for example, I'm traveling from, say, my place to Jaipur University, where I had a journey on a regular basis for several years during my PhD study, for 3 years actually. So there are different modes of communication between my place of abode and Jaipur. Now the modes are by train, mixed with mixed mode. One alternative may be train plus auto plus bus. One journey may be AC bus through some other route. Another path may be by ordinary public bus or ordinary private bus actually, which takes longer time and much less comfortable. One way can be direct by car. So there are more options by metro and all, but I'm taking this four. So there can be several alternatives, four, five, six, seven, number of alternatives. But there are some criteria on which I will have to depend. There are some conditions or criteria. For example, the fare itself is a criteria. Say I was student at that point of time, so I had limited amount of stipend. So naturally, I had to cover the expense, all the conveyance expense and all the other expense within that amount. So each person has certain budget for that. Then we have another condition or criteria like the comfort level. A different person has different standard for comfort level, different requirements. I should not say standard, different requirements for comfort level. Then you have, I told about the cause, this comfort level, and the time. There are many other criteria as well, but I'm taking these three. The time taken to travel from my place to Jaipur. So based on these criteria, since for these criteria the limit is set differently by different people. So that's why you see this. Just a minute. So naturally, the solution, the best alternative, can be different for different people. So that's the pleasure of working in multiple criteria decision analysis. We will have to, we cannot say this is the best alternative, this is the worst alternative. It depends on the decision maker. But what we can do, based on the criteria given, based on the data given, we can sort, we can rank the alternatives based on these criteria. That's what multi-criteria decision analysis techniques are. Okay, so these are the kind of tools for decision making where the decision depends on more than a single criteria. That's what I said. I mentioned through that example. And we can compare the techniques, we can get different rankings for the different techniques. And it depends. It is also crucial issue to identify a particular MC technique for a particular problem. I will come to that. So this multiple criteria decision making techniques basically ranks are applicable for ranking problems, choice problems, and classification problems. As you see, I have given, this ranking classification problems are always there in our daily life, in our scientific research or any kind of research, and even in our daily life, it is very common. Say, for example, whenever you go out, you decide in which mode you will travel. Whenever you start your cooking in the morning, or you decide what you want to eat, you have several options and you have to decide. So there are always multiple alternatives available and your multiple criteria available, and from which you will have to choose. So multi-criteria decision analysis techniques, decision analysis is not new. The techniques may be new to you, although it's very old techniques. Some of them are very traditionally old techniques and some are newer techniques. And each day, from time to time, frequently newer techniques, the modification, hybridizations are coming out in the existing literature. As you see here in the slide, in the 4th century BC, the ancient scientist, Greek philosopher Epicurus, arranged human desires into two classes. One is for morality, immortality, and another is for pleasure, and from which they supposed to find the inner peace. Depending on the desires, extent of desires in human being, they could be categorized into how much they want the inner peace, how much to what extent they want the inner peace. So it was a kind of classification problems. It always occurs, this classification, choice and ranking problems always occur in our daily life. These are some of the examples, daily life examples and bigger examples. A doctor, before diagnosis, for instance, diagnoses a patient on the basis of their symptoms. The symptoms can vary, and some of the common symptoms like fever, like this cough, these are common symptoms in some diseases, for example. So doctor always uses some intuition based on his or her knowledge and the symptoms of the patient. Some are exclusive symptoms for a particular disease and some are common symptoms. So to what extent that particular symptoms is arising, that determines the disease, that determines the diagnosis of the doctor. So that is a kind of multi-criteria problem as well. We can treat it as a multi-criteria problem. Very common problem, as you see in the literature, existing literature, you will see that projects are often sorted into priority-based categories. Hurricanes and cyclones are sorted into one of the five symptom categories. I have never worked in this. I've just taken this example from somewhere. There is no need to take examples from anywhere because you have lots of examples and surrounding examples surrounding you. So just to look into the application of multi-criteria decision analysis techniques in finance, I just thought that I should show you how popular it is. I have taken this list of citations, the list of papers from the Google Scholar. I'll show you how to search in Google Scholar, and you can see a number of, varieties of multi-criteria decision analysis applications in finance in various areas and various topics of finance. As you see here, various portfolio management and this financial management, risk management, this sorting decision problem, and Greek industrial SMEs performance. Then you see financial performance evaluation, and then equity selection. You see financial classification problems. This third paper in this slide has proposed a particular software, FinClass, as I see. And then you see the construction projects, the agribusiness, financial viability of agribusiness. There are lots of different applications, banking applications, financial and banking applications, credit rating, investment projects, then shipping company performance, of course, financial performance. It is talking of then companies' financial management. So the varieties of applications are present in financial area. So that will make you getting interest in decision, multi-criteria decision making techniques. In short, I will say MCDA techniques. So that's why I have shown these examples so that you can garner this knowledge and apply in your research work. That's what the purpose is. Not only cover this session and make you, fill up this time with the lectures. Not that. The purpose is not that. Purpose is to give you a glimpse of what you can do with your research. And, as your research enhances, research quality enhances, your students automatically get benefited by you. Your speech, your quality of delivering your lecture, your content, everything gets upgraded automatically, unknowingly, because whenever you are publishing something, you will have a tendency to share what you have garnered with your students, and that your enthusiasm will be spread over your students, and your students will get energized and eager, as I see in my class as well. Some of the students get motivated as well, some do not. Maybe those students who are not from the mathematical background may have some difficulty, but many get energized and many get motivated. Many come to me to work with me, and this happens. I have seen NPTEL's lectures of Dr. Srinivasan and many other stalwarts lectures, and then you get energized. You do not only learn, but energized, motivated to work more. That's the purpose, actually. My lecture's purpose is that also. Here you see, as I told you, I will show you how to search. So I have searched, and in different way you can search. You can search with credit rating specifically. You can search with financial performance management as well. But I have searched with multi-criteria plus financial management in the Google Scholar, and I got these results. As you see, the results are 24,90,000. 24,90,000. So you see the extent of papers have been published in financial management area. So it is very, very relevant in your area of study. These are some of the examples. I will cover a few ones because of the lack of time. It is not possible to cover most of these techniques. So I will cover some most popular of these techniques, and this list is exhausted. As you see at the end, I have given 3 dots. That means the list is exhaustive. I have applied many of these techniques such as TOPSIS, this HP, NP, DA, this Macbeth, Mount, Promethi, and several other techniques which are not listed here. I have applied. You will see, I will share the Excel sheet as well, and you will see that you can apply it anywhere. So I'm starting with a case study because it will be difficult for you if I just show the mathematical expressions and explain. It will not be very friendly to you. Since you will apply, since you this class is for train you, I mean give you some things, not to train you. You are all teachers, so I was just explaining what in the way I explaining my class, but not to train you, of course, but to share you. You're all friends, colleagues. So to share my what I have learned. This is the example, and there is a case study of selecting books from for a particular library. I have used this case study in one of my papers, published articles. So that's why I have given. It is a conference paper actually, where I have used this example. So a total of 20 books had been collected, and the book prices had been taken from Amazon.com. So you see the second column shows the Amazon price of these 20 books and the number of pages, because the decision maker thought that this number of pages are a criteria, is one of the important criteria for which I mean against which the users may select a particular book. Some people do not want to read much, so they go for thinner books. And some people want to read more. They are voracious readers, so they will want to get a bigger book, voluminous book. So in this case, since the persons who come to library are generally readers, I mean, may not be voracious, but they are eager. So maximization, I mean, this number of pages and the ratings will, of course, will have to be maximized. We'll go for maximized ratings. And this particular library is thinking for maximizing the number of pages. And price should, of course, be as minimum as possible. So this is to be minimized. So in monthly criteria terminology, we call this benefit or cost type of criteria. So in this case, the number of pages and rating are to be maximized. So will be termed as benefit type of criteria. And this Amazon price will be termed as cost type of criteria. Now I'm starting with, I'm directly going to the topic because the time is short. And in the same way as in class, I sometimes lose track of time. So I'm just keeping my time on in my front. It's 5 past 12. So I'm starting with the initial basic and very popular technique, MCDA technique called TOPSIS. I said I will not show only the mathematical expression. So this is the slide for mathematical expression. I will explain to you, and then I will come to the application of this case study, on this case study, application of TOPSIS on case study. So TOPSIS is very popular, as you will see in the existing literature. You will see lakhs of papers on TOPSIS, multi-criteria decision making technique. So first of all, that was the decision matrix. This one I had shown you. This one is called the decision matrix, on which the decision will be taken. What will be the decision? We will have to rank these 20 books on the basis of these criteria. These are the three criteria: Amazon price, number of pages, and rating. There are three criteria for this case study, and the alternatives are 20. There are 20 number of alternatives. So we'll have to sort it out. I mean, we'll have to rank these alternatives in the descending order of its suitability or appropriateness. The best one will be ranked as the number 1 rank, and in this way, the 20th rank will be the worst, least appropriate book for the library. So this one is the decision matrix. So in TOPSIS, we'll get the decision matrix and the weights of the criteria. I will show you another technique, how the weight of the criteria. There are several techniques actually. Weight of the criteria can be calculated in, and weight of the criteria can also be subjective as well. We can apply the mathematical fixed techniques, MCDA technique, to calculate the weight of the criteria, which should be unbiased. And we can take the weights from the decision makers. I mean, anybody can any library can say is price is the most important factor to us because the budget is limited. Another library can say, no, the number of pages should be the best criteria to us, because readers are voracious and readers are very, keen. Another one will be, another library may say that the rating is most important because users are very selective. The readers are very selective in choosing the books. So different library may have, that is, different decision maker may have different criteria as the highest ranking criteria. In this way, the subjective criteria weighting of the criteria may come into picture. Someone may say that price is the highest rated, followed by number of pages, followed by rating. Some other may say number of pages will be the highest rated, followed by rating, followed by price. Some other may say differently. So this weight of the criteria can be selected by subjective method, that is by random judgment by decision makers, or objective method, that is there are fixed mathematical technique, MCDA technique itself, which are dedicated for calculating the weights of the criteria, taking the different aspects and characteristics of the criteria, which are of course unbiased. So first we normalize the decision matrix, because you see that each of these criteria has different unit of measure. Price in our country may have the INR. Price may be in rupees. These lists are given in dollars though. And number of pages, there is no unit, and there is rating. Rating also may have some, it may be a ratio, it may be some other kind of rating. So different different criteria may have different unit of measurement, and they cannot be compared, and that's why this normalization come into picture. So we just add these values of each column. Like for example, for the Amazon price, we add 6.99 plus 7.51 plus 10.2, in this way all the 20 prices, and then normalize means each price will be divided by the total, that is 6.9 divided by total, 7.51 divided by total. That will be the normalized, because you are dividing rupees by rupees. Naturally the ratio, that is the normalized value, will not have any unit of measure, and that is the best way to make it to get rid of this influence of measuring units. So that is called the normalization. So this is the second step. And the third step is we now multiply the weights with the normalized values to make it weighted normalized decision matrix, because we will have to first prioritize. So naturally apply the priorities of the criteria, and that's why we are calculating the weighted normalized decision matrix. And then for each criteria we will find the best and worst element, and then we will calculate the Euclidean distance. Euclidean distance, how you will calculate, I will show you through Excel sheet. That's what the best way to show you. And then you calculate the closeness coefficient. That is, you are calculating in step number 5. You are calculating the distance of each of these elements. Each of these elements from the best element and the worst element for each criteria. That's what the Euclidean distance measurement does. So you di plus means you are calculating the distance from the best solution, and dy minus means you are calculating the distance from the worst solution. Now the worst is being divided by the total of best distance plus worst distance to calculate the closeness coefficient or CC for each alternative I. Now this closeness coefficient will be arranged in the descending order to get the ranking. That is, the highest CC value alternative will get the highest ranking. How it is done? See here. It would be best if I just, instead of sharing this, you first see this and then I will shift to the Excel sheet. That will be better. You see here I have calculated the total. For example, the total of Amazon price is 201.7. Then we have normalized, as I said, by that particular mathematical expression. And then we have these weights. At the end of this first, on the left hand side, there is a table. At the end of the table, you will see the weights are given. As you see, the rating has been given the highest weightage, that is 0.39, followed by the Amazon price, followed by the number of pages. So accordingly, we have multiplied these weights with the previous table, each element of the previous table, and now we have calculated D plus, D minus, and CC. And on the basis of this CC, we have ranked these 20 different books. As you see, one is for book number 9. That is, book number 9 has been ranked 1. That is the highest preferred book. That is the best book based on these criteria and based on these weightage. Of course, the ranking will be different if we differ the weights. That is called the sensitivity analysis. When you propose the multi-criteria decision analysis technique, we vary the weights or the decision matrix to check whether the particular method is robust or not. So the second ranking has been for alternative 2, and the third ranking is for alternative 1. Alternative 13 has got 4th rank. In this way, all the alternatives have been ranked. First I am explaining, then I will go for the Excel sheet. Now the next method I'm emphasizing is Prometheus. It is also it is taking a different approach, completely different approach, and that's why I have selected it. It is taking, after normalizing, as you see, it is the first step of normalization. It is taken from one of my papers. Actually, I had described this in this way. So I have just copied it from my own paper. Now the preference function will be calculated. Preference function means we are comparing each alternative with other alternative. Each pair of alternatives are compared on the basis of each of these criteria. So when I say PJs of A and B are alternatives, and J is the jth criteria. So you saw the decision matrix sometime before. So you will see in the Excel slide sometime later, if JA is the value of the jth criteria for alternative A, and if JB is the value of the jth criteria for alternative B. So we are subtracting to find the preference function. Preference function calculation, after that we are calculating preference index. That means we are adding these values. Pi AB means how A is preferred over how much alternative A is preferred over alternative B. That's what we are calculating. We are taking into account the weights. WJ is the weight of the jth criteria, and in this way we are summing up we are multiplying the weights with the particular values, preference function values, and then summing up these expressions, these values, to get the comparison between alternative A and alternative A. In this comparison, we are finding how much, to what extent alternative A is preferred over alternative B.
Hello.
Now we are calculating positive and negative outranking flows. Yes,
Hello.
yes.
Yes, madam, can I please interrupt you once? Ma'am, can you please go to
Yes,
the previous slide in normalization part where you describe the normalization actually?
yes.
Ma'am,
If you have
here,
any question, you can ask.
yes, ma'am. Here, ma'am, you have done serial number one for Amazon price, that is 6.99. Ma'am,
Yes,
6.99 divided by the total of all the Amazon prices, isn't that?
yes. 6.99 divided by 201.7. Your value, your calculated value may differ a little from my one, because I have calculated by Excel sheet. You will see it yourself by applying formula. And if you have calculated with your mobile, the value may slightly change.
Ma'am, this is the normalized value for all the 20 members that we have
Yes,
considered in this case. Then,
yes.
how the combination of all these three will be going to be made for all these 20 units?
All
How?
these 20 books, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am. Because we have three areas: Amazon price, number of pages, and rating. How we will be
Yeah.
just combining all these three things?
Yeah, that's what I am showing now through these techniques. Because first of all, you will have to get rid of the influence of the unit of measures. That's why this normalization is coming into picture. Because Amazon price has a particular currency unit, be it dollar. Here it is expressed in dollar. These values are in dollars, but it can be in rupee. It can be in pound, and the number of pages do not have any unit of measure. Rating may have another different kinds of measures. So naturally, different kinds of different criteria may have different unit of measure. You don't know which unit you are dealing. Unit of measure you are dealing. This may be same unit of measure for all the criteria, maybe may differ. So if you compare them in this fashion, on the as it is on the left table, it will be very difficult to compare. Now that's why you are normalizing, and after normalizing you are waiting, and then the comparison comes. The comparison comes at the last table. On the right hand side you are starting to compare, and up to the left hand side, the weighted matrix, you are preparing the data. You are just preparing the data. You are not comparing. Comparison has not started yet. The comparison has started from the right table. As you see, D plus, D minus, and CC. The comparison starts from there. The actual calculation, actual algorithm, actual TOPSIS, or any algorithm starts after weighted matrix calculation. Okay?
Okay.
Madam, the
Okay.
weights are subjective, you know.
Words may be subjective or objective. As I said, that the decision maker can randomly assign the weights to the criteria. That will be the subjective method. Or there are different MCDA technique itself to calculate the weightage of the criteria itself. Those are objective methods. Objective methods means the mathematical methods in this case. And the subjective method means you were dependent on the judgment of the decision maker, random judgment of the decision maker, which may be accurate, which may not be accurate, which may not be accurate even for themselves. Okay, so that's the subjective judgment. That's the subjective weightage criteria. I mean, subjective method of weightage. Have you
Madam,
understood? Ha.
Okay, madam, will you elaborate upon later on? Will you mention some of the objective methods in later in your slides?
Yes, yes, yes,
Okay, okay,
yes,
that's the
yes, of
problem.
course.
Okay,
Of
okay.
course, of course. That's the part of this lecture. I mean, it may be covered today or it may be covered on the next day. I don't know how much time will it take, but I am trying to make you understand as much as possible. That's my purpose. My purpose is not just to run the Rajdhani Express or the aeroplane so that you don't understand. That's not my purpose. That's why I'm going a little slower, although I have a lot of amount to show you. So that's how it is done. I see. Oh, I have not finished this slide.
Madam,
Now,
hello,
next step is
hello.
yes, yes, yes.
Can you go to the price slide? Because I have another perspective. I just want to check whether it is right or wrong.
There's the decision matrix you want to
Yeah,
see.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Ah,
okay.
no, no, and the earlier one. Yeah,
This
this,
one is also
yeah,
decision matrix.
right.
Yeah.
Now here, now instead of we comparing the individual books price with the total price, can it be
Hmm.
done with the rating? Because it is something like
Yes,
this is the amount I'm going to give.
it is also being done with the rating, and the normalization can be done in different ways, not only by dividing by the total. Each price can be each element can be divided by the average. Each element can be divided by the minimum or the maximum, or each element can be complex mathematical expressions. The ratios can be. There is some technique. There is some MCDA technique where the normalization can be done in this way. You subtract the minimum from each element, then you divide this result by the difference between the maximum and minimum. That is another. I mean, there can be varieties of different ways of normalizing. This is just one of the basic method which is utilized in TOPSIS method. It's not universal. Different techniques may utilize different ways of normalizing. Okay.
Okay.
Have you got your answer?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Okay. So as I was saying, next the positive and negative outranking flows are calculated. Positive outranking flow indicates how a particular alternative A, in this case 5 plus A, how a particular alternative A is better than all the other alternatives. And 5 minus A, which is negative outranking flow, indicates how a particular alternative A is, how less a particular alternative A is preferred, how less preferred a particular alternative is compared to other alternatives. And then the net outranking flow, in which we subtract the negative outranking flow for each alternative from the positive outranking flow for that alternative. And this net outranking flow is used or arranged in a descending order to get the ranking. So that is another technique, and here is the calculation. You see each alternative, since here there are 20 alternatives, so one is compared with 2, 1 comma 2, then 1 with 3, 1 with 4 in this way, 1 with 20, then again 2 with 1, 2 with 3, 2 with 4 in this way. 20 with 1, 20 with 2 in this way. How the calculations are being done? We are simply subtracting. When we are saying 1 with 2, we are comparing. We are subtracting 7.51 from 6.99 for Amazon price to get the result as minus 0.52. Similarly, 1, 3 is compared in this way. We are subtracting the Amazon price of alternative 3, that is 10.2, from the Amazon price of alternative 1, that is 6.9. That is 6.999 minus 10.2 equals to minus 3.21. This is for Amazon price. Same calculation will be done for number of pages and rating. These are the preference function values. Now these preference function values will be you see the weightage is here, 0.33 for price, 0.28 for pages, 0.39 for rating. You just multiply these weightages with these preference function values. That means here for the first row, 0.33 into minus 0.52 plus 0.28 into 16 plus 0.39 into 0, and you get this 4.3084. Individual results are given first, Individual results are minus 0.1716, then 0.448, then 0, and the total, if you add these three values, the total will be 4.3084. So in this way, the preference index values are calculated. Now the phi plus, phi minus, and phi are calculated. Phi plus is, as I told you, how each alternative is preferred over the other alternative. So it is the comparison is not present anymore. So how alternative 1 is compared to the other alternative, how alternative 1 is preferred, to what extent the alternative 1 is preferred over the alternatives, to see that we are adding these values 1 2 plus 1 3 plus 1 4 in this way 120. How alternative 2, and we are getting this value minus 963.564 as phi plus. Phi plus for alternative 2 will be 1 2 plus 3 2 plus the values for 4 2 plus 5 2 plus 6 2 in this way 22. And the result will be 963.5635, just the opposite sign, same value, opposite sign. And phi will be the result of subtracting phi minus from phi plus. So minus 963.564 minus 963.564. So the result is minus 1927.13. And now we are calculating, getting the ranking. The highest value of PHI will get rank 1. The highest value, as you see here, is for alternative 8, which is, as you see, 2003.144. So it is getting rank 1. That is the highest rank alternative. Now this HPA, analytical hierarchy process. I am not mentioning the full form because in the initial slides where I had shown the list of MCDA techniques, there I have mentioned the full form of these techniques. Names. Analytical hierarchy process is another approach of MCDA technique, and this approach is comparing for each alternative, comparing each of these criteria. For each of these criteria, for each of the criteria, we are comparing each pair of alternative. And there is another technique which I am not going to show because that's very complicated technique. So I'm not going to cover here because you will be bored. In that technique, that is called analytical networking process, network process. In that process, for each criteria, we are comparing each pair of alternative, and for each alternative, we are comparing each pair of criteria. I have proposed another method which are considering lots of factors, not only the relations among alternatives as it is being considered in HP. For each criteria, the relations we are comparing, each pair of alternatives are being compared, means we are finding the relationship among each pair of alternatives for each criteria. And I had considered for each alternative the relations among the criteria and the relations among the alternatives and criteria. So HP, what it does now, it first gives the pairwise comparison of each pair of alternatives for pairwise comparison matrix among the alternatives for each criteria, and then we find the gist, which are called the ratings. I will show you the slides. And then these ratings are multiplied with the respective criterion weight. And then the average ratings are arranged in the descending order to get the rankings of the alternatives. So this is a sample slide where you will see that each for Amazon price, as you see on the upper left corner, Amazon price is written. So for this particular criteria, each of the 20 alternatives is compared with the other alternatives. Obviously, alternative 1, if you compare the same alternatives, then you will get ranking 1 because same alternative cannot be compared with the same alternative. I mean, alternative 1 cannot be compared to alternative 1. It will be same. Now, for each alternative, we are calculating the sum. You see, the lowest, the last row shows the sum of each of these columns. We are getting the sum. Then you see the ratings are also given. From these sum, we are getting the rating. Rating can be taken in different way. We can take the average of each row. You can take the I have shown the two ways. One is you can get the sum or the average, or you can get the rating. That means rating can be obtained by calculating the average of each row, or better method is to get the eigenvector. Eigenvector is the better method, which are used in another method called analytic network process. Since eigenvector may not be familiar to you, so I'm not going for eigenvector. I'm just depicting how you can calculate. As you see, the numbers are almost same, so the average will be same. So here, in this way, after getting the ratings, you will get the average. You are getting the rating for each of these criteria in this way, and you will get the average rating. And on the basis of the average, if you arrange the average in the descending order, you will get the ranking. So in this way, alternative 8 will be the highest ranked alternative. That is the most preferred one for this HP. Remember, as you recall, Prometheus also ranked alternative 8 as the highest preferred alternative. Same here for HP. I'm not going for ANP. In ANP, as you see, I'm not depicting the method because it is too complex. So I'm just showing an overview. After normalization, what we are doing for each alternative, you see, we are calculating the pairwise comparison, we are making the pairwise comparison among the criteria. And in the same way as before in HP, for each criterion, we are calculating the pairwise comparison matrix for the pairwise comparison among each pair of alternatives. So here I had calculated the eigenvectors. I said the eigenvectors is the best method of finding the ratings, but you can perform it, calculate the rating by calculating the average of each row as well. Some authors have done that. And then in case of ANP, what we do, we apply some other method to get the rankings. I'm not going to details of ANP because it is complex. I thought I will cover, but it will it will be very complex to you because I need to show you some Excel sheet as well. Time is short for that. Now I'm coming to another approach of MCDA technique. Here, their MAUT, multi-attribute utility technique. Here, marginal utility is being measured for each element of the decision matrix. As someone said about, someone asked about something about the normalization. You see here, we are normalizing in different way here. As you see here, we are normalizing each value in different way. We are subtracting the minimum of that particular criterion. We are subtracting from each value, each element of the decision matrix, and dividing the result by the difference between the maximum and minimum, as I said sometime before. And then we are calculating the marginal utility score for each element by this exponential term, by this formula in step number 3. And then the aggregate, that means we are calculating the aggregate value of each row by multiplying by weightage of that criterion and then summing up. And this aggregate MUS is used, is arranged in the descending order to get the ranking of the alternatives. Here you see the example on the same case study. So we are normalized as before, but this normalization is done in the different way. That's why you can see the ones and zeros, because it is not based on the total of each column. It is based on the maximum and minimum value. So you are getting ones and zeros in each column. So after that, we are calculating the marginal utility score by that exponential expression, which gives marginal utility for each element of the decision matrix. And then we are aggregating. These are the aggregation. That means we are actually summing up. I mean, we are calculating the average most probably. You can either sum up or you can give the average. Most probably I have taken the average here. So on the basis of this average, so first of all, you are multiplying this weightage. So how you are doing actually, first we are getting the aggregate. So sorry, the aggregate is taking by multiplying and summing, as I said here. So 1.00484 for Amazon price into the respective weight 0.33 plus 0.54249 into 0.28 plus 0.67271 into 0.39, and we are getting the result as 0.74585. In this way, we are getting all the values here. These values we are getting, and on the basis of these values, we are descending order. If you arrange, you are getting the alternative 9 as the highest ranked alternative. You see here, alternative 9 has got the highest value, so we are getting the alternative 9 as the highest ranked alternative. So this is the MCDA technique. Mount. Then another technique called Macbeth. It's a very funny name, as you see. We can take it from the we can recall Shakespeare's Macbeth, but it is not that. The full form is completely different. So in this Macbeth, we are finding the maximum value for the benefit type of criteria and minimum value for the cost type of criteria, and we are going to calculate some reference value. We are finding some reference value. These minimum values and maximum values are actually the reference values here, and then we calculate the Macbeth score. This is the in step 3, the Macbeth score formula is given, and then in the same way as in Mount, the Macbeth score is multiplied with the respective weight of the criterion and is summed up. And this summed up one, there is the aggregate value, is used to rank the alternatives in the same way. So here's the calculation. As you see here, the ranking has been done by Macbeth. Now, these are some of the effective books. I have several other books as well. You can see these books. These are very famous books in MCDA techniques. The first one actually enlists the methods, multi-attribute decision-making methods. Several multi-attribute decision-making methods are depicted in this. Mainly the methods. The analysis has not been done for each method. Okay, now I am going to the Excel sheet to show you the actual calculation and all the other calculation. I don't know whether, oh, it is open. So as you see in TUoB, actually I had taken from this particular Excel sheet, and that's why I had to make it adjusted to the slide. I had reduced the font size. No matter, I will make it bigger so that you can see. So you see in TUoB, it starts, then you see in the formula bar, you see B2 divided by B22. I have calculated $B $22. You may know Excel. All of you know Excel how to calculate. So I'm not going into details. So dollar means that value is fixed because each value is being divided by the total. So now this weighted value is being done by obtained by multiplying each of these values. That is, for example, this value is obtained by multiplying this G2 with this L22. L22 here, this is L22, as you see here below this L column at the row number 22, the weight of the Amazon price is given. And D plus, what I wanted to show is this. Euclidean distance is being calculated. How Euclidean distance is being calculated is square root of this best values, best and worst values are being identified. L2 minus L24. I don't know why this base value has not been shown. Yes, best and worst. So this base value minus base value is observed. These base values are given in L24. L24, M24, N24. So L24 minus L2 into L24 minus L2, that is best minus each element square, plus best minus each element of the second criterion square, plus best value of the third criteria minus the element of that criteria, the third one is rating, that square. You sum up these squares and then make the square root. This is the universal way of calculating the Euclidean distance. That means you are calculating the Euclidean distance from the best values of each criteria, and you are calculating this distance for each of these alternatives. And you are getting this value of D plus, that is 0.004679 for criterion and for alternative 1. Similarly, you are calculating the Euclidean distance for D minus, calculating distance from the worst values of the criteria. That means taking the 25 row value of the 25th row, and we are getting this D minus. Then we are calculating CC values, and we are getting the rank. A rank has particular formula, as you see here, and you will not have to do anything. I mean, you have to scan for the values to get the ranking. Excel has given the ranking formula, so you can utilize this formula. If you do not, cannot recall or do not know, I didn't know, so I searched in the internet and I searched for how the ranking is being done, because you cannot remember all the values, all the formulas. So Google is the best way to learn if you forget anything. And now in Prometheus also, we are calculating in the same way. See, B2 minus B3, and then B2 minus B4, B2 minus B6 in this way. And then preference index for the number of pages and for the number of rating, the subtraction will be C2 minus C3, C2 minus C4 in this way. For 2-1 comparison, it will be C3 minus C2, C3 minus C4 in this way. Now the preference index will be calculated in this way. You see the L2 plus M2 plus N2. And how this L2 has been calculated? L2 has been calculated by multiplying G2 with the weightage. That means minus 0.5 to 8.33, as I told you. I'm just showing it in Excel so that you can come to know how it was done, how it was taken, to eradicate all the confusion in your mind. So it is the sum, as I told you. I'm not going to the details because a lot of other methods are remaining. There are other methods as well, like Orest, regime, Viker, SAR. Okay, so I'm finishing this slide so that I can open the next one. These are other methods like Evamix. Evamix also ranks the alternatives in descending order of values. What it does, it actually calculates in different way. It calculates total dominance, how each alternative is dominant over other alternatives, and the aggregate dominance is calculated, and the ranking is done. I have not completed it. ARAS, there is another method called ARAS. ARAS is after finding the weighted function, then optimality function is calculated. How it is done? It is just simply adding these three values, and then this is serially ranked, arranged in ascending order to get the rankings. This is called the utility degree. Optimality function, from optimality function you calculate the utility degree. Then taxonomy is another method. It is very interesting method, but it will be complicated, so I'm not going to depict. Mura is another method. It is very easier method. You are finding the maximum of first of all you are calculating the weighted average, weighted matrix, and then from the weighted matrix you are getting the sum. Weighted matrix, from the weighted matrix we are getting the sum of each of the criterion, which is used. The square root of this sum is used to divide each element to get the normalized values. So normalization is done in different way after from the weighted matrix, and then from the normalization we are calculating this, finding this particular expression, applying this expression from each value, from each element we are subtracting the reference point. In this case, the reference point has been taken to be minimum for the price and maximum for the other two. Since these two are benefit type of criteria and the price is cost type of criteria, so we found minimum for the cost type of criteria, and for the benefit type of criteria I have found the maximum values. These are the reference points, and from the reference points from out of the normalized matrix we are applying this expression. Each element is used, each element minus that reference point divided by the total of 20 alternatives, a kind of average, normalized average. And we are finding the maximum of each of these rows, and this maximum value is used for ranking the alternatives. So I'm not boring you with further details. So there is Copras, there is WASPAS, there is TODIM, there is EDAS. Each one has different types of rankings. As you see, there is one lacuna. Can you observe any lacuna? Can anybody mention any lacuna of the techniques that I described? Can anybody say anything regarding the lacuna, the fault of these techniques? Can anybody identify any fault of these rankings?
Now, one thing what I find is that, assigning weightage subjectively, assigning weightage subjectively may not give the correct rating, right? Ranking.
Yes. Another, any other? Any other disadvantage of this ranking, as you have observed from the rankings that I had shown you? Anything, any observation? For the subjective weightage method, I have told you the objective methods are there. So those methods are unbiased methods that I will show you later. But any other lacuna, any other fault of these techniques? I mean, any other negative aspects of these techniques? If you have observed, you may have observed the fault of these techniques, which I will now emphasize on. That's why I am asking. Anybody? I'm giving you some glimpse. I'm giving you some hints. I'm again showing you this one. You see, EvaMix is giving this rank. RS is giving this rank.
Once the methods are changing.
Yes, that's why I wanted to hear. The rankings are different. Can you see the slides? Can you see the slides? I'm changing the slides. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay. Because I had closed it, so that's why. So there lies this disadvantage of these MCDA techniques. Different MCDA technique may give different kinds of ranking. How do I know which technique is appropriate for a particular problem? This is the problem of MCDA techniques, and many authors have proposed different way of identifying particular MCDA technique for a particular problem. First of all, I have also recently, one of my papers have been accepted by a well-rated international journal, Progress in Artificial Intelligence. It is a Springer journal. There I have proposed a very unique technique which have never been proposed before. Such approach has never been taken before. But I am showing you some existing way of comparing these rankings. So the popular ranking methods are rank correlations. Beside rank correlations, there are sensitivity analysis. There are comparison in terms of the characteristics of the techniques. There are other comparisons, like one author from an IEEE conference paper, I saw that one author had applied Gini index. Gini index is used in economics. I don't know exact application of economics because I'm not an economics guy. So naturally, I cannot exactly depict, I cannot remember what Gini index is used for in economics, but Gini index was used in comparing the rankings in MCDA. So these are major techniques. The major techniques are rank correlations. As you see, rank correlations, maybe there is a book, there is a very good book on rank correlations and different techniques, parametric and non-parametric methods of different kinds. Here I have used mentioned four different rank correlation methods, which are frequently used for comparing the rankings of MCDA techniques. These are the mostly used technique is Pearson's rank correlation. And then Kendall's tau, Kendall's coefficient of correlations are also frequently used. And the least frequently used rank correlation is Pearson's rank correlation coefficient, because it is not so, robust technique, robust method of comparing the rankings. And I have mentioned the Spearman's rank correlation only. Spearman's rank correlation only. This particular formula you see here, it is given 1 minus 6 summation d square divided by n into n square minus 1. This is one formula for determining the Spearman's rank correlation. D is the distance. I will show you. I will show you the difference. Just a minute. Just a minute. Just a minute. Just a minute. Oh, sorry for the interruption. Okay, so the rank correlations, as I was going to show you, you see this particular Excel file is showing different rankings under different methods. I had applied it in one of my paper, which I have just referred. I'll show you that paper, this recently published. So you see what we are doing. Up to Mayer, I have shown the rankings. Okay, these are the different rankings by these different methods. These methods are given as the heading. Under TOPSIS, we are getting this ranking. Under MOUT, we are getting this ranking. Under Macbeth, we are getting this ranking. Under regime, I have not compared, and that's why I have cancelled this particular column. For this particular paper, I had not showed the results of regime. Then for Orest, then for Viker, then for SAR, up to Mayer. Okay. Now we are applying the Spearman's rank correlation method. Say, for example, TOPSIS and Macbeth. TOPSIS and Macbeth are being compared. How do we calculate the Spearman's rank correlation? Here we have enlisted the ranks, and now we are finding the difference. Simply difference. 5 minus 10 equals to minus 5, 10 minus 9 equals to 1. Now this is D. This is denoted by D, that is difference. We are calculating the difference square, that is 25 minus 5 square, 25, 1 square, 25, minus 5 square, 25, 6 square, 36, 7 square, 49, and then we are calculating the total sum of these square terms, and then we are applying that formula, that formula which I had shown in the slide. 1 minus 6 into summation 6 d square, 6 into summation d square divided by n into n square minus 1. I have calculated n cube minus n, that's why this is being shown. Here negative correlation is being shown. Negative correlation means these two rankings are just opposite in nature for this particular example. So we cannot compare these two rankings. This is not robust. This is not robust. These two rankings are better. almost similar. You see, 1 is similar, so same ranking is given, and the rankings are very near about ranking. I mean, the rankings are very close, positively correlated. That means if you just change the rankings, I mean, if you, for example, change the number of alternatives from 10 to 9 here, then you will see it will be number 9. This particular rankings will be same, 9 9 here or 1 1 here. It will change to small extent. I mean, consistently it will change. It will change consistently, not in opposite way. The negative correlation means the rankings will change in opposite way. If 1 is changed from 2, the ranking for an alternative is changed from 1 to 2, then the other alternative for the other method, the ranking will be changed from 1 to 8, for example. So in this way, in the opposite direction, the rankings will change. That is, inconsistent change will be there. So this is one kind of comparison where you cannot identify which method is better. But you can compare which methods are close. So in this way, you can group these methods in different types of different classifications. I mean, how each ranking are associated with other. In this way, the existing literature has compared. The articles in the existing literature have compared. As you see here, the Topsis and Mura have been compared. Topsis and Copras have been compared. Some are given negative correlation and some are given positive correlation. As you see, for this particular example, for this particular case study, as I had taken, I had shown that the rankings are not consistent, very much consistent. So this particular method that I had proposed was not effective for all. And these rankings are not giving the proper way of ranking. I mean, it's not reliable ranking, but there are methods to identify the best ranking for a particular problem and study. Now I'm showing the next method of comparison called the Kendall's-Tau. Kendall's-Tau is a particular method. How you do that? For example, I am showing you the calculation of Kendall's-Tau for Topsis and Mount. So these two rankings are given. First of all, the left one, any one of these two are arranged in the ascending order. So I'm arranging the rankings of Topsis in the ascending order. Descending order. Yes, ascending order. And then the respective ranking of Mount is copied. For ranking 1 of Topsis, the ranking of Mount was 5. For 2, so 5 has been copied. For the second ranking of Topsis, the Mount ranking was 2, so 2 ranking is given. For the third ranking of 6, 3 6 has been copied here. Next 4 8 has been copied here. So in this way, the ranks have been arranged based on the method of Kendall's-Tau, and then the C and D are calculated. Index C and index D are calculated. Index C, how index T is calculated? For each of this ranking, say for example for 5, how many are greater than 5? How many below 5? The rankings below 5, how many of them are above 5? There can be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there are 5 rankings are there which are below 5, placed below 5, 6, 8, 10, 7, 9. After 2, below 2, how many rankings are greater than 2? There are 6, 8, 10, 4, 7, 3, and 9. So there are 7 different rankings which are greater than 2, ranking 2. That's why it is 7. In this way, for all the other rankings, these values of C are calculated. D are the index D are calculated in the opposite way. For this 5, how many of these subsequent rankings are less than this ranking, that is 5. How many are less than 5? So we will get 4, 3, 2, 1. So for the first ranking, it is very easier, very easy. So there are 4. For example, for this one, there is no other subsequent ranking which are less than 1. So that's why it is 0. D's value for against ranking 1 is 0. In this way, this is the method depicted by Kendall's TUoB. It is not my proposed method or any other's method. This is the method, already existing method, that is Kendall's TUoB. Now you calculate the sum of these two. This sum of C and D you calculate, and then Kendall's correlation tau is calculated, which is E24 minus F24 divided by E24 plus F24. That is sum of C minus sum of D divided by sum of C plus sum of D. In this way, Kendall's tau is calculated. Okay. So in this way, you can arrange in your paper, in this way, you can arrange to show the negative and positive relations in a summary format. That's what I have done. That's what I had to show you. I'm going back to the slide once again. Yes. Now, as you see, the existing literature till now have shown the rank correlations, have used the rank correlations, the sensitivity analysis, which I have not shown to you because it will be complex for you. Sensitivity analysis means you keep on changing the weights, because I had shown that the first criteria or weightage is 0.33, the second criteria weightage is 0.28, the third criteria is 0.39, but the weightage can be changed, can change. If we change the weightages, how the rankings will change. So this kind of experimentations are called sensitivity analysis. All of you, those who have studied MBA may have studied the operations research, subject operations research, then you have studied linear programming. A part of linear programming is sensitivity analysis, which we teach. Sensitivity analysis is like that, to check whether the method is robust or not. In your methods, in your financial methods also, you can apply different kinds of sensitivity analysis to see whether the result you are showing out of the ratio analysis or the cash flow analysis, whether the results are robust or not. So there also lies different methods for that as well, for that kind of calculation as well. So any method, any mathematical calculation should go through robustness check to see whether the results are robust or not. So I'm showing a better method of comparison in the existing literature, which have been proposed very recently. If it is not shown, then I will just open the particular file which I have already opened for you in case the slide doesn't work. So this is the method which have been recently proposed by me. Actually, it is recently published in Progress in Artificial Intelligence, and already it is being taught in different universities as the book chapter. I have got the news from Springer itself, and this method shows that these methods can be compared to find the best method, best appropriate method for your problem under study or for your particular case study. This method is not universal. I mean, the same method may not be best for all the case studies, but for a particular case study, for your problem, the best method can be identified by this method. What is this method? I'm showing you by example. Otherwise, you will not be able to understand. I'm going to that particular page. Although I have the Excel sheet for this, but since here the problem was this, I have used different robots, 10 different robots. In the next day, I also have different session on the same topic tomorrow at 10. There I will show you the applications on financial data. There you will see how the financial problems can be solved by MCDA technique. Today is the introductory session, as was introduced to you. Introductory session has a lot of things to say, and that's why I have taken this introductory session. But tomorrow will not be introductory session. Tomorrow will be application on financial problems only. So there we will not see these technical examples, but you will see the examples in your own area, application of MCDA in your own area of study, that is on financial problems. Now, in this paper, I have ranked these robots, 10 different robots, and there are criteria, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are 7 criteria I had, 8 criteria I had identified. And these are the weightages I had given, and the weights of the criteria were calculated in different way. I have mentioned in this paper. And now, after showing the calculations of TOFCs and other methods, I am showing my own method. You see the Spearman's rank correlation coefficient also have been calculated here. I'm showing this paper for a particular reason. I'm showing this paper to show you how to apply these methods and how to make a impressive paper out of this multi-criteria in your own area. And that's why I'm showing this paper. I have several other papers I could show that. The propaganda is not my purpose. My purpose is to show you how to apply these methods and how to present these methods. You'll have to establish something, you are experimenting something, and you will have to establish your claim in your paper, and that's how it is done. So there, now my paper is coming. The relevance of my proposed method is coming. These are the rankings by different methods, by TOFCs, Mount, Macbeth, and different other methods. These different rankings are obtained. And I have compared with Spearman's rank correlation, which only shows the association among the rankings, sets of rankings, but unable to identify the best method for this problem under study, for this particular case study. Now, this is how it is done. How to identify the best method. What we do, for this particular method, we first identify the highest ranked criteria, highest weighted criterion or criteria. Here, for the example that I had shown you, the highest ranked criterion was rating. In Amazon Notebook case study, the highest ranked criterion was rating. The weightage was 0.39. So for that criterion, we had a set of 20 values in the decision matrix. We will find the cumulative values of those values. So the ratings were like this: 4.6, 4.6, 4.3, 4.4. For example, the first four values were 4.6, 4.3, 4.4, 4.2. So we will calculate the cumulative values in this way: 4.6, first one, then 4.6 plus 4.2, that means 8.8. Then 8.8 will be added with the next value, added to the next value, that is 4.3, to get some values. In this way, the cumulative values are calculated. Here, aggregate value means in my problem, this can happen. Two criteria can have same weight. In those cases, the aggregate value will have to be calculated. The decision matrix values for the two columns will have to be added. Two columns, normalized values of the two columns can be added. Or if those two columns have the same unit of measure, simply you can add these values, which we have done here. Aggregate values have been calculated, and on the basis of this aggregated value, I have taken the cumulative values, calculated the cumulative values. So the first one was 9440, copied as usual, the first value. And the second cumulative value is 9440 plus 8790 to get 18230. 18230 plus 9880 to get the result as 28110. In this way, the cumulative values are calculated. as I have taken that as in the case study, it was decided that the first
Madam,
two
sorry to
robots will have to be. Yes, yes, yes.
can you repeat, please, the aggregate values once more, please?
Aggregate values means in this paper I had calculated aggregate values. In my proposed techniques, it was mentioned, I had mentioned that, you know, in some cases criteria can have equal weights. The 0.39 or 0.33, the weight was given. It could be the same weight given to both rating and the price. For example, 0.39 was the highest weight given to rating, but the same 0.39 could be given as a rating to price as well. So in that case, Amazon price and rating would have the same highest weight. In those cases, what we would do? We would add up the normalized values of the price and the rating together. We would add up the normalized values of for each of the alternatives to get the aggregate value. So for alternative 1, we will add the normalized value of price plus the normalized values of rating. Then for alternative 2, we will add up the same two values, the normalized value of rating and normalized value of price to get the aggregate values. In this paper, the aggregate values were different because the decision matrix was different. Naturally, the values are different here. So the cumulative values have been calculated. Now the decision, the case study says, you know, we are ranking to select a few among these, isn't it? The purpose is to select a few, the most beneficial ones, the most beneficial preferred alternatives. That's the purpose of these rankings. There is no other purpose. The beneficial one, and here the most beneficial one was, for our case study in the PPT, the most beneficial one was rating. Rating was given the highest weightage, 0.39. So I have identified the best weighted, highest weighted criteria. There were two, and I added up those values of the decision matrix to get the aggregate values, then found the cumulative aggregate values. Now the cumulative aggregate values were calculated for each of these techniques. For this particular table, for example, Topsys, Mount, Macbeth, I have calculated the aggregated values for these all these three techniques, and the aggregated values will differ because the rankings will differ. So the 10th value was taken first, followed by the 9th value, followed by the 6th value, 6 alternatives value, and in this way the cumulative values will differ. Now, say for example, if the first 3 best robots were to be identified, then the highest value of the third one will have to be compared. So the 28110 will have to be compared with 27270 will have to be compared with 24770. See, and now if the criteria taken, highest criteria used to be minimized, that is the cost type of criteria, the minimum one will be identified as the best one. If it is the benefit type of criteria whose value is to be maximized, then the maximum value will be taken as the best one, and the respective ranking will be taken as the best ranking. In this way, we can identify the best technique or best MCDA method for a particular technique. Okay. Can you see the slide now?
Yes,
Can you
madam,
view
yes.
the slide now? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So that was the better method of comparison, since it was not opening. The previous link was opened. I could open that, and that's why I had changed. But there are other aspects as well. I have not yet shown how these objective methods can be applied. There are several objective methods in MCDA techniques. Those are also known as MCDA techniques. The objective methods example are IDEO crew, critic, silos. Almost 10 to 11 different techniques are available, which are objective techniques. That is, there are fixed mathematical expressions to determine the weights of the criteria. Now, why do we, I mean, what factor is taken? Here we have, you saw the different MCDA techniques have different philosophy. Someone had taken the Euclidean distance. Some other technique had taken the strategy of pairwise comparison. Some among the criteria, some other technique like analytic network process had taken the strategy of comparing both the alternatives for each criteria and the comparing the criterion value for each alternative. Some other technique had taken the strategy of utility score, calculating the marginal utility score. Some other technique had taken some other views of calculating or ranking the MCDA, I mean alternatives in the MCDA technique. But there are other techniques. How all these rankings are dependent on the weightage, and now the weightage can be biased. Biased weightage methods are subjective methods in which the decision makers are other. These are also dependable methods because the decision makers can be very experienced one, and their ranking can be much more suitable than the objective method. So that's why the
Dr.
subjective
Bandyopadhyay,
ranking
sorry to
methods
interfere.
can also be.
This is
Yeah.
just to draw your attention to the fact that time is up. Now you just wrap it up in due time.
Okay, it's
Within a short
already
minute.
finished actually.
Okay.
Since I had raised the last slide, thank you slide. So I'm ready.
Yeah, I noticed
In the
that. I noticed that. Yeah.
On the next day, I will discuss the other factors, the objective methods as I have depicted just now, along with the financial applications on financial data. Because this methods I am showing just for financial application, isn't it? This because of this course. So I will show it you in that way on the next day tomorrow at 10 o'clock. Now I welcome you all for questions. If you have any question, you can ask freely.
Madam, there is a request from my side that if, the method that you have shown in your paper, if you could just show its Excel file tomorrow, so that it becomes more
Okay.
clear. Okay, this is just
Okay,
request.
okay. No problem. I have Excel sheet with me because already calculations are there, so I can show you.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other question? If you have any question, please ask. I will be very happy if you ask questions because, you know, in classes also I am very glad. I be very glad if students ask questions. So please ask if you have any question. I'll be glad to answer. Okay, Dr.
So participants,
Mukherjee.
yeah. So I think
it seems
you have given enough food for thought for the participants to ponder for some time, and definitely they will have questions. I'm sure about that because these are something which is new for us, the finance guys. So I take this opportunity to formally say thank you to Dr. Susmita Bandyopadhyay, our Susmita D in the department, that this session was really engrossing. And there was, as I already said, there is enough food for thought. And just as Dr. Shumit Maji said, that if you share the background materials of the paper, that will be really helpful for us. So I'm sure all of us are definitely looking forward for tomorrow's session, which will start at 10 a.m. But before that, I must remind the participants that with this, we come to the end of the second session of day 2. So we will be leaving now, and we all have a 1 hour 15-minute break. Our next technical session, that is the third technical session of day 2, which will be taken by Professor Tanmay Dasgupta, will start sharp at 2:30. So we will start the link. We will activate the link again at 2:25. That is, we will have 5 minutes prior time, and I request you all to log in at that point of time. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Dr. Mukherjee. Thank you. Thank you.